Hello and welcome to my channel The Lab Rats. We are doing a lecture series on nucleic acid and this video is the second part of this lecture series, composition of nucleic acid. Those who have not seen the first part, which was about introduction of nucleic acid, they can find the link for those video in the description box. Video is available both in Hindi and English language. Now let's begin with today's topic. Nucleic acid composition. So what is exactly nucleic acid is made of? In our previous video we discussed that nucleic acid are polymers. Okay, they are polymers. Poly means many and mers means units. Okay, so they are made of several small units and these small units are known as nucleotide. So suppose these are the small nucleotide units. Okay, so these nucleotides are joined to each other by bonds. Okay, some bonds connect them to each other and they form a polymer known as nucleic acid. And the bond that link nucleic acid with each other is phosphodiester bond. Okay. So in order to understand the composition of nucleic acid, we must understand the composition of its smallest unit, which is nucleotide. So what is nucleotide made of? Nucleotide. Okay. So nucleotide contains elements such as hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen and phosphorus. They are mainly made of three major components. The first is pentose sugar. Second component is nitrogenous bases. Okay, and third component is phosphate group. Okay, so these are the three important components that together form nucleotide, and many nucleotide units are joined by the phosphodiester bond to form nucleic acid. Nucleic acids are of two types. The first is DNA and the second one is RNA. Pentose sugar. So DNA and RNA both contains pentose sugar and the type of pentose sugar which is present in them is represented in their name. Okay. So the full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. And RNA stands for ribonucleic acid. So if you see, in case of DNA the sugar is deoxyribose sugar, and in case of RNA it is ribose sugar. Okay, so both these are pentose sugar. Pentoses are monosaccharides and they are made of 5 carbons. Okay, they are 5 carbon compound and they are monosaccharides. So now let's learn the structure of ribose sugar. Okay, the ring structure of ribose sugar is like this. Okay, so this is ribose sugar. Now say in case of nucleic acid, several questions are asked from its structure. Okay, so to understand the structure of nucleic acid, we have to understand the structure of its unit. Okay, its unit component, which is nucleotide. Okay, nucleotide. And to understand the structure of nucleotide, we have to understand the structure of ribose sugar, deoxyribose, phosphate group and nitrogenous bases. Out of all this, at least in case of pentose sugar, at least minimum we can do is to learn the carbon numbering in case of pentose sugar. It will help us to understand the structure of nucleotide. Okay, so in this case, in case of ribose sugar, if you see at this position in the acyclic form, there will be an aldehyde group. This gives this carbon the first position. This gets second, third, fourth and fifth. This is our ribose sugar. Now for deoxyribose sugar, the only thing you have to do is on the second position, on the second carbon, there is a hydroxyl group. So in case of deoxyribose, this hydroxyl group is replaced by just a hydrogen. This oxygen is removed in case of deoxyribose sugar. So this is the structure of deoxyribose sugar, and the only difference between ribose and deoxyribose is the absence of hydroxyl group at the second carbon in case of deoxyribose. So here only a hydrogen group is present. Now the hydroxyl group is very prone to hydrolysis, and that is why RNA is less stable in comparison to DNA, because of this hydroxyl group on the second carbon of ribose sugar. Now ribose sugar is present in case of RNA, so this is present in RNA, and deoxyribose is present in case of DNA. Nitrogenous bases. So all the nitrogenous bases that are present in nucleic acid are mainly derived from two parent compound, and the first is pyrimidine and second is purine. In case of DNA, 4 different nitrogenous bases are present that we call as ATGC. Okay. So in case of DNA, there is adenine, A for adenine, thymine, guanine and cytosine. In case of RNA, adenine is present, guanine is present, cytosine is present, but RNA does not contain thymine. Okay, at the place of thymine there is another nitrogenous base, that is uracil. So in case of RNA, uracil is present, and further in this video we will discuss how uracil and thymine have similar structure. So now the next confusion arises is, among these 5 nitrogenous bases, which of them are derived from pyrimidine and which of these nitrogenous bases are derived from purine. Okay, so to remember that, there is a simple trick. In case of purine, you can remember it like Pooja. Okay, so Pu for purine, G for guanine and A for adenine, and rest of the nitrogenous bases are derived from pyrimidine. So rest of the bases are C, cytosine, uracil and thymine. Cytosine, uracil and thymine. Cut. Okay, so you can either remember it like Pooja, it means guanine and adenine are present in purine and rest of the bases are present in pyrimidine, or you can learn it other way like CUT, cytosine, uracil and thymine are present in pyrimidine and rest all are present in purine. It is your choice the way you want to learn it. Now 3 of the bases are derived from pyrimidine and 2 are derived from purine. There are total 5 bases, and in order to remember all their structure, we generally get confused. Especially it is difficult for those who find it very hard to draw the chemical structures and to remember them. Okay, so today we will learn some of the layman way to understand this structure and to remember them for a longer period of time. Now, in order to learn all these 5 structures, first we need to learn the structure of its parent compound, that is pyrimidine and purine. Okay, so first we will learn about these 2 parent compound, what are these structures, and then we will go to the nitrogenous bases. So in case of pyrimidine, pyrimidine is a ring structure which has 6 members. So it is actually 6-membered ring structure. And as it is a nitrogenous base, of course there will be nitrogen in this compound. So it has nitrogen. So now coming to structure, so for pyrimidine ring, we have to draw a carbon, nitrogen, carbon, nitrogen. Okay, so first 4 members of the ring we will write them alternately, carbon, nitrogen and nitrogen. Now remaining 2 are in this side and both of them are carbon. So this is the 6-membered ring, it is complete. So the first 4 member will be written alternately, that is carbon, nitrogen, and rest 2 members are on this side and both of them are carbon. Now we have to remember the double bond position. Okay, so again we will start from this topmost carbon, and the first double bond position is here. So it is between this carbon and nitrogen, and then we will place the double bond alternately. So the first double bond goes here, then this will be a gap, then the second double bond, gap, and third double bond. Okay, so this is a pyrimidine ring. So carbon can form 4 bonds. Here we can see only 3. So there will be one hydrogen. Nitrogen can form 3 and it has formed 3. Carbon, nitrogen has formed all the 3 bonds. These two carbons have formed only 3 bonds each. So one hydrogen on each carbon. Now we have to do the numbering. Okay, so for pyrimidine, that is a single ring structure. In case of purine there will be 2 rings. In case of pyrimidine there is a single ring. Okay, single ring. So in this single ring structure the numbering will begin from this bottom nitrogen. Okay, we will start the numbering from this bottom nitrogen. So it will get first position and numbering will continue in a clockwise direction. Okay, so this is first, this gets second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, and that's it. Our pyrimidine ring structure is ready. So simple and easy. So it is a 6-membered ring structure. It has a single ring. We have to draw the first 4 members in an alternate way, that is a carbon, nitrogen, carbon and nitrogen. Rest of the 2 members will be on this side and both will be carbon. Now we have to remember the double bond position. So we will start placing the double bond from this topmost carbon and they will be alternate. So the first double bond, gap, second double bond, gap and third double bond. Now in case of numbering we will start from this bottom nitrogen and we will go clockwise direction. So our pyrimidine ring structure is ready. Now for the position of nitrogen, nitrogen is present on the first position and on the third position. So it is present on the first and third position. You don't need to remember the position. Once you have learned the structure, you can easily draw a simple structure whenever you need, and then you can place the double bonds, and you know that carbon nitrogen are alternatively, so you can place these and then you can remember the position of each and every member. So in case of purine we will first draw the pyrimidine ring. Okay, to draw the purine we will first draw this pyrimidine ring. So again we can revise it. First 4 members will be alternate, carbon, nitrogen, carbon and nitrogen, alternate, and then rest of the 2 will be carbon, carbon. Ring complete. Then double bond position, starting from the topmost carbon, the first double bond, gap, second double bond, gap and third double bond. Now for purine what we have to do, on the side where both the carbons are present we will attach one nitrogen to each carbon. Okay, one nitrogen to each carbon, and then these nitrogen will be bonded to a single carbon and complete a second ring. So purine is basically a 2-ring structure. 2-ring structure. It has 9 members and also it is nitrogen containing. First we will draw the pyrimidine structure, and then on the side where both the carbons are present we will attach one nitrogen to each, and then these 2 nitrogen will be bonded to a single carbon, and here is again our double bond in this ring. Okay, now we have to balance the bonds. So this carbon has only 3 bonds, so there will be one hydrogen. Now this carbon has only 3 bonds, so again one hydrogen. Its electron are balanced. Now these 2 carbons have all the electrons balanced. Now in case of this nitrogen, one hydrogen is required, and in case of this carbon, one hydrogen is required. Now we have to do the numbering. In case of purine, everything is opposite to what we have seen in case of pyrimidine. Pyrimidine has 1 ring, purine has 2 ring. Okay. In case of pyrimidine, we start numbering from the bottom nitrogen. In case of purine, we start numbering from the top one. Okay, so we will start numbering from this nitrogen. It will get the first position. Now in case of pyrimidine we do the numbering clockwise direction. In case of purine we do the numbering anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so this nitrogen has got the first place, then this will get second, third, fourth. Now we don't have to move in this ring. Okay, we will first complete this ring, this main ring. So 4, 5, 6. Then we will jump to the next ring. This will get the 7th position, and then here we will continue clockwise direction. So 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so numbering is done, and this is our purine structure. So that's it, our purine structure is also ready. Now those who are getting confused about clockwise and anti-clockwise direction of numbering, they can remember these things by their own tips and trick. In my case, I remember it this way. This pyrimidine has a single ring. Okay, in a clock also there is a single ring, and its needle moves in a clockwise direction. So out of pyrimidine and purine, the one which has a single ring, its numbering will be in a clockwise direction, and the one which has two rings, its numbering will be in a anti-clockwise direction in the main ring. Okay, in the main ring, and then another will be having clockwise direction. Position of nitrogen in case of purine is, it is present on 1st, 3rd, 7th and 9th position. Now moving to the nitrogenous bases that has been derived from this parent compound. First we will do pyrimidine. So here I have drawn the skeletal structure of pyrimidine, and now we will learn about the structure of cytosine, uracil and thymine. Now in case of pyrimidine, all the nitrogenous bases, all the 3 nitrogenous bases have oxy group on their second carbon. So we will attach oxy group on the second carbon in all the 3 bases. Okay. Now in case of cytosine, okay, now in case of cytosine, apart from the oxy group on the second carbon, there is one amino group on the 4th carbon. Okay, apart from this oxy group, there is one amino group on the 4th carbon, and that's it, our cytosine structure is ready. It's so simple and easy. For this carbon, bond is balanced, nitrogen, it's done. Here the carbon is forming 5 bonds. Okay, so one of the double bond will be erased. Now the nitrogen has only 2 bonds, so we will place one hydrogen and the electrons are balanced. Now here in case of both these carbon, one hydrogen and the electrons are balanced. We can also name this structure as, on the second carbon there is a oxy group, so we can write it as 2-oxy. On the 4th carbon there is a amino group, so 4-amino, 2-oxy, 4-amino pyrimidine. So simple and easy. Now the next is uracil. It is even more easier than cytosine. So in case of uracil, apart from an oxy group on the second carbon, the 4th carbon also have an oxy group. Okay, and the uracil structure is ready. So here 2 oxy groups are present on the second and on the 4th carbon. This carbon has 5 bonds. One is removed and the electrons are balanced. Now in case of nitrogen, there are 2 bonds. So there will be one hydrogen. Here this carbon has 5 bonds. And the nitrogen has only 2 bonds, so one hydrogen, and these carbons have 3 bonds each, so one hydrogen, and so electrons are balanced. Now we can also write uracil as, here second and 4th carbon both have oxy group, so we can write it as 2,4 dioxy pyrimidine. Okay. Now if you know the structure of uracil, you can easily draw thymine. Remember we discussed that thymine and uracil have similar structure. So uracil have 2 oxy group on the second and 4th carbon. Thymine also have 2 oxy group on the second and 4th carbon. The only difference is it has an additional methyl group on the 5th carbon. Okay, and thymine is also known as methylated uracil. So it is similar to uracil. It has 2 oxy group on the second and 4th carbon, same as uracil, and it will have a methyl group on the 5th carbon. And we can write thymine as 2 4 dioxy 5 methyl pyrimidine. Okay, so here the carbon is showing 5 bonds. Now to balance the electrons, one hydrogen will go there. Here 5 bonds are there, so one is removed. Now nitrogen will have one hydrogen, and to balance the electrons here, this carbon has only 3 bonds, so one hydrogen, and here the electrons are balanced. So this is the thymine structure. Now see how easy it gets to remember all the nitrogenous bases and to draw the structure of these bases once you have learned the structure of parent compound. So this is cytosine, uracil and thymine. So here we have drawn the skeletal structure of purine ring. In case of guanine, there is one amino structure on the topmost carbon. On this topmost carbon, 6th carbon of this ring, there is a amino group, and that's it. Guanine ring is ready. Now to balance the electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds are there. For nitrogen there are 3 bonds. For carbon there are only 3 bonds. So one hydrogen. For nitrogen 3 bonds. For this nitrogen 1 hydrogen, 1 hydrogen. This is our guanine. Now for adenine, now in case of adenine, on the topmost carbon, on the 6th carbon of the ring, there will be a oxy group and there will be a amino group on the 2nd carbon. Okay, oxy group on the 6th or the topmost carbon and amino group on the 2nd carbon, and this is our adenine. Now to balance the electron, here we have 5 bonds. One is removed. One hydrogen on this nitrogen. 4 bonds. 3 bonds. One hydrogen and one hydrogen. This adenine structure is ready. Now we can also name them as, in case of guanine there is a amino group on the 6th carbon, so we can name it as 6-amino purine. Okay, 6-amino-purine. In case of adenine, there is an amino group on the 2nd carbon, so 2-amino. There is oxy group on the 6th carbon, so 6-oxy-purine. That's it. Our guanine and adenine structures are ready. So these are the 5 nitrogenous bases that are present in case of DNA and RNA. This is purine. In case of adenine, there is amino group on the 6th carbon, so 6-amino-purine. In case of guanine, there is amino group on the 2nd carbon and oxy group on the 6th carbon. Okay. In case of pyrimidines, in cytosine, there is oxy group on the 2nd carbon, amino group on the 4th carbon. In case of thymine, there is oxy group on the 2nd and 4th carbon, and there is methyl group on the 5th carbon. Okay, this methyl group. If you remove this methyl group, if this methyl group is removed, thymine will convert into uracil. So uracil has only 2 oxy group on the 2nd and 4th carbon. So these are the 5 nitrogenous bases. Phosphate group. Phosphate group is written as PO4 3 minus, P double bond O, single bond O minus, bond O minus, bond O minus. Okay, so it comes from phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid, its formula is H3PO4, P double bond O, and there are 3 hydroxyl group. Okay, so this is the structure of phosphoric acid. Now at physiological pH, pH. This phosphoric acid releases hydrogen ion from its hydroxyl group, and that is why it is called acid, because acids are hydrogen donor. It releases its hydrogen and it converts into phosphate. Okay, this phosphate is present in nucleic acid. So this acid term is used only due to the presence of phosphate, and this provides overall negative charge on the nucleic acid. So generally people get confused that nucleic acid has both nitrogenous bases and it has phosphate group also, then why it is called as acid? Now I think you have got your answers. Nucleotide. So finally, what is nucleotide? So in nucleotide there is a pentose sugar. This is the 5th carbon of this pentose sugar. There will be phosphate group and nitrogenous base. Phosphate group, pentose sugar, it can be ribose or deoxyribose based on whether this nucleotide belongs to DNA or RNA. Then for nitrogenous bases, there can be adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine or uracil. Now all these things combined known as nucleotide. So let's draw the molecular structure. So this is a nucleotide belonging to DNA. So I will draw a deoxyribose sugar. So I mentioned that while learning about the nucleotide components, at least you should know the carbon numbering in case of pentose sugar, and here you will see the importance of that carbon numbering. So this is the first carbon, this is the second one, third one, fourth one and fifth one. Now there is phosphoric acid, P, OH, OH and OH. This hydrogen from the phosphoric acid and OH group from the 5th carbon of the pentose sugar, they will released as water, okay, and bond will form here. So the phosphate group, one of the oxygen of the phosphate group will be binding to this carbon, double bond O, and remaining hydroxyl group will also release their hydrogen ion. So there will be O minus and O minus. Okay, so one of the oxygen is bonded to the 5th carbon of the ribose sugar or deoxyribose sugar in the nucleotide. One more oxygen of the phosphate group will be bound to the hydroxyl group of the 3rd carbon of the pentose sugar present on the next nucleotide. In case of polynucleotide, one more oxygen of the phosphate will be engaged, and this time it will be with the hydroxyl group of the 3rd carbon of pentose sugar. And now here in case of first carbon, our nitrogenous base will be attached. So let's suppose we draw cysteine. So this is our phosphate group. This is nitrogenous base, which is cysteine. And this is pentose sugar. And here we have drawn deoxyribose. And this is known as nucleotide. So now see how important it is to learn the carbon numbering in case of pentose sugar. To the first carbon, nitrogenous base is attached. Second carbon decides whether the sugar is deoxyribose or ribose sugar based on the presence or absence of hydroxyl group. Then third carbon is also bonded to a phosphate group that will be present in the next nucleotide. Fifth carbon is bonded to the another oxygen of the phosphate group. This is our single nucleotide unit. First carbon with nitrogenous base, fifth carbon with phosphate group, second carbon has hydroxyl group, means it's a ribose sugar. And now we will learn about the third carbon, how it is helping in the formation of phosphodiester bond and how it helps in connecting one nucleotide to the another nucleotide. So here in this figure, this second figure, we can see there are 3 nucleotide units. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 nucleotide unit. Now in case of phosphate group, one of the oxygen of the phosphate group is bonded to the 5th carbon of pentose sugar. Another oxygen of the phosphate group is bonded to the hydroxyl group of 3rd carbon of the pentose sugar. And this bond is known as phosphodiester bond. One phosphate group is forming 2 ester bonds, and that is why it is known as phosphodiester bonds. Okay, and this is how phosphodiester bonds helps in connecting one nucleotide to the another nucleotide and formation of polynucleotide. Okay, now while learning about polynucleotide, 2 terms are there: oligonucleotide and polynucleotide. Oligosaccharides are relatively smaller in comparison to polynucleotide. And now in case of oligonucleotide, nucleotide units can be maximum, they can be 15 nucleotide units. So the polymer containing up to 15 nucleotide unit is known as oligonucleotide, and in case of polynucleotide, more than 50 up to any number of nucleotide units can be included in a polynucleotide. Thank you so much for watching the video. If this video was useful to you, please like and share it, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon for recent updates. You can post all your video related query in the comment section. Also, for your queries and recent update, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. So see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning and keep motivating.